Welcome to week 6 of Tristan's spectacular picks, as they say, for the 2025 NFL season. Hello everyone, I hope all is well with y'all, and if y'all couldn't tell, I've been on a complete roller coaster ride, and I've been just trying to find a way to settle in, but lots of things have gotten in the way, which means this video, which is being recorded before Thursday Night Football, is likely going to roll out late once I have a chance to even finish everything else I need to do, since time is just not in my favor for the time being. Anyways, we got 15 games to review with 2 teams on bye week, the Eliminator Challenge, and all the other things. So other than that, let's roll. I can't say last week it was a shocker that Philadelphia lost, but how they ended up losing that game is more the surprising thing more than anything. And it's their first loss of the year, and they haven't looked the most effective this season. And they'll be going up against the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football, who have struggled time and time again. Jackson Dart once again didn't have a great game in New Orleans, made sure they paid the price. And with that all just being said alone, Philadelphia is better off in about every way possible, but this is also a divisional matchup, and we've seen how those go around the NFL. However, I will be picking the Philadelphia Eagles here. After an amazing comeback win on the road against Philadelphia, Denver will make a trip overseas to London, and they'll be going up against the New York Jets. Denver is continuing to look better and better in every game, while the Jets are unfortunately 0-5. And to make this more straight up, Denver is building momentum and looking like a favorite to win the AFC West, while the Jets are just looking for a win, but they also seem really beat up. So I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. The Rams have had a couple of very much avoided losses this season, including a cross-country road trip to Philadelphia, and playing in Baltimore is not that much short of a trip. They have really found some ways to lose games in very silly ways, which last week that came on behalf of Joshua McCarthy and Kyren Williams, including play calling from Sean McVay, which also is showing a lack of trust in his team. And things, they just have to be turned around this week. And they're going up against a Ravens team that is just getting smoked and allowing so many points defensively. I'm going to be honest, whether Lamar Jackson returns or not, I still have the Rams just winning this game, but they have to be more confident and efficient. Both of these teams come off victories. Dallas is sitting decent behind Philadelphia in their division, while the Panthers, they're winning games here and there in some remarkable ways. And by all means, this game can be close. The Cowboys have been very solid offensively, but we're not going to lie that without Micah Parsons, they have allowed more points defensively, to be honest. We're not going to twist it. And then, like I said, up against Carolina, and at this point, you don't really know what you are going to get, but they have been fairly competitive compared to other seasons. And their run last week was excellent. And the return of Hubbard, if he does come back, can make it strive. But I do believe that Dallas can outscore Carolina and use their lethal weapon of Brandon Aubrey if it has to come down to it. So I'm going to pick Dallas. At this point, Arizona is out of gas, and they've lost their last 3 games, and they can really only blame themselves. They've lost to field goals in those first 2 losses, and they've also given Cam Ward his first win, and they did give him lots of help to make sure that dream would happen. And not a lot of things are going right for Arizona, which I would say right now that it's borderline unacceptable. And for the Colts, we really just don't have to discuss them, as they have exceeded expectations, and they looked very good once again, answered my questions coming into their last game. They lost their kicker to a torn ACL though, so we're going to see how that plays out. But either way, the Colts should have a win at home. The Seahawks ended up losing recently, but they did fight their hearts out, while the Jaguars also did the same thing, but they earned their 4th victory of the season. And we have a great game on hand where we are bound to see a mixture of what both teams did in Week 5. Sam Darnold was great in his loss, mostly until it came down to a clutch moment, while Trevor Lawrence and his team showed resilience. And you could literally pick any team here, but I do think Seattle needs to clean some things up, and their kicking Jason Myers is costing them. Jacksonville just needs to do their thing, but also I want to say concede less points in yardage. I don't know if I'm being too harsh on that, but either way, I'm going to take Jacksonville here to get the win at home. Right now, I don't think either of these teams are enjoying themselves right now, but it's obvious which team really isn't enjoying themselves the most out of this. And we have the Chargers, who have not looked ideal going up against the Dolphins. They have looked worse and worse every single game they play in. And the Dolphins, as mentioned, they don't got much to offer, if I didn't say that already. I do think the Chargers are fine and all, but they need to turn a switch again and not suffer another loss. And when it comes to Miami, they just have not been good enough most of the season. The fact that they had a solid lead against Carolina with it, that's quite sad, and for the circumstances in that game. And I'm losing trust in the quarterback. So with that all being said, I'll be picking the Chargers to turn things around and get a win. This is where things can get tricky. It's the Browns and Steelers. The Steelers come off a bye. The Browns are continuing to look tough defensively, and they almost found a win, but they ultimately didn't win in London. And the Steelers have been on a bye after their win in Dublin, so we do have to keep in mind rest period, travel, which those both benefit Pittsburgh. However, sitting around could be a disadvantage in this game, though. I honestly don't see much from Cleveland, and the Steelers defensively have been lethal, and they're going to look to pressure Dylan Gabriel big time, and I feel a veteran quarterback in Aaron Rodgers will keep his offense relaxed in tough situations, and that's just going to give the Steelers a win here. The Patriots ended up being the ones to make sure no team would finish the season undefeated with a great win over the Bills on the road. They go into this game looking extremely good, and maybe this is their ceiling for this season, but I did not think they had something like this in them. They'll be going up against the Saints, who picked up their first win of the year, which did not shock me. However, the Saints are going up against a much better team. I expect New England to win, and that is my pick, but we do need to keep in mind that Saints are more rarely not turning over the ball, and they're not forcing plays either. But with that all said, I just don't see that conservative approach working this time. I don't think anyone saw the Titans winning, but they indeed won. And they'll be going up against Mr. Hot Potato as in Geno Smith for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I feel the Titans do feel much better about themselves after that win, so that is a good thing, especially when you have a rookie quarterback. So, a first win for him, even though it wasn't ideal. It will give confidence. And the Raiders just keep losing the ball, and that's, my concern. And no offense to the Titans, but the Raiders should absolutely blow out the Titans. But when you are continuously losing the football time and time again, you give teams opportunities, and that's costing them games. That's also why Tennessee won their last game. And I don't see that happening here, and that's just due to the quality the Raiders have. So they're going to be my pick, but we do need to continue to keep an eye on Geno Smith, because the problem is starting to circle with one player. The 49ers somehow won after the Rams somehow found every single way possible to lose after having just as many opportunities to redeem themselves to win, and going up a very banged up 49ers team. And this week, San Francisco will play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are also hurt, but they have disregarded all of that, and they have found ways to continue the win in clutch moments. And it's a little early to see who will be out for the 49ers, but they did just play Thursday Night Football, so that is more time to recover. And Tampa has been relentless for most of the season, and they did put together their most complete game of this year in Seattle. And it's not going to be an easy game for either side, but I do like what Baker Mayfield has done even during the pregame, and especially last week. And the Bucs have shown they got depth, so I do feel that's why they got more than the 49ers. So I got my boys here. I'm not so sure how you speed run Joe Burrow back, but this is becoming a lost season for the Bengals. Straight up, nothing is going to change if they don't make trades or moves. And I don't have to keep saying their problems because it's been the same thing every single week, and they haven't been great defensively either. The Packers come off a bye week, so I am interested to see how they will respond after conceding lots of points, and they have not won in the past 3 weeks, a loss and a tie, and then the bye week obviously. But surely, I don't think they're going to concede a bunch of points to the Bengals, so I will take Green Bay. The Lions are continuing to look strong all over the field on both sides of the ball coming into Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs will be under the lights once again after a loss to Jacksonville, and it does suck for Mahomes not to have a lot of help offensively, and it could get better as players return, but I feel this is not a great time for him in his career, and I'm sure he knows it, and he shouldn't really panic about that. He does know his abilities and what he can provide, and the Chiefs, they're allowing a lot more points than I expected defensively, so that is becoming disappointing. And it is hard for me to believe they are going to lock in against the Lions, who have just been using their stars in every position, and you just can't stop all of them. So it sucks for the Chiefs, but I do have the Detroit Lions winning. The Bills enter this game being upset, if you want to call it that, while Atlanta enjoyed a vacation after a successful win in Week 4. Buffalo is going to instantly be looking on how they can win this game, and Atlanta knows they're the underdogs here. And maybe Bijan Robinson will have another great game. I just feel, the Buffalo Bills are better off, and they'll be running more on all cylinders. I don't think they were bad against the Patriots, but they were definitely chasing that game the whole time, and they just could not get it done. I like the experience of the Bills, who I feel should be better on both sides of the ball, and they'll get the win that way. The Bears got to sit back and relax, while the Commanders are trying to get things to look back to normal, and they are on pace of doing that. It's a Monday night game, and I don't see a lot of momentum for Chicago, even though they have some wins. They're coming off a bye. I do question how they're going to respond to it, even though they have shown the potential to win games more than not. Washington, as mentioned, they're looking more like themselves, even though they were going through some growing pains. If McLaurin's back, I'm not sure how he'll continue to gel with Deebo Samuel. They haven't just gelled well at all, and the running game's still being figured out, but it's definitely all on the right track, and I gotta count all of these things. So I'm gonna pick Washington to win, and hopefully we see a really good Commanders team to end Week 6. Lastly, it comes down to the tiebreaker from that last game on Monday Night Football, aka the last game of the day. At 49 points being scored in this one, it will be a 28-21 scoreline in favor of the home side. So, woohoo. For the Eliminator Challenge, going into Week 5, this is what our 2 entries look like below. It was really nice to have 2 entries going into this, even though it's not my primary entry. But, well, if you look who I picked for entry 3, now there's only 1 left. And we talked about it earlier in the video. I still don't understand how the Rams managed to lose that game still. It's a big head scratcher. So ultimately, it comes down to entry 2. And don't mind the graphics from the past, but I'm sure what you're seeing now, as we go into Week 6, looks all better now. So we have to make it all the way through the season with 1 entry left, or I will have to figure something else fun to do. And when looking at everything, it really came down to 2 teams, and then I remembered something. The Cincinnati Bengals are probably one of the biggest dumps in the NFL right now, going up against the Green Bay Packers. The bad thing is, Green Bay has mentioned they haven't won in the past 3 weeks, include that bye week, but it is hard for me to believe the Bengals will beat most teams in the NFL right now based on how they're looking. And I consider the Patriots up against the Saints to use a weaker team, but I am going to stick with the Packers here. And also a friendly reminder that the Packers wiped out my primary entry cell. We'll see what happens if they can redeem themselves, because if not, it's not going to be good news for them. Now we're going to look at the league. We're going to compare, we're going to contrast. It's not going to look very pretty. It's very rough, to say the least. So looking at how we finished in week 5, Michael gets his first win of the year. He looked for some upsets, as he would call it, and it paid off this time. So credit to Michael. I'm in second. There's Max, and then you got the rest of the group, 50 points, aka 5 correct games. So it's been pretty rough. And then for the league, I'm still leading. You got Zach just chilling back there, and then you got Max leading a 3-car pack, and then it's pretty spread throughout, but we see Griffin drop, and then Lucas and Michael are looking to make their way up to the pack, which they could. Now we're going to look at literally how did we all do, and it's really bad. We only got 2 out of 14 games was right. That is the lowest. Minnesota at Cleveland, and then Detroit at Cincinnati. There's a chance we would have only got 1 of these right. And when it comes to 0% accuracy, it's not very good either. It is worse. We blew the 49ers and Rams, but should not have happened. Tennessee and Arizona probably also should not have happened. Washington Chargers, or was that even at the Chargers? I don't even know anymore, looking at my graphic, but that was rough, but I'm surprised someone didn't go the other way. And then the Patriots at the Bills. That was a big one, so not a very good week. Now we're going to look at the week 5 replay, and I'm sure going to have lots of reactions because how bad we did.
And now they're both 1-3. And we already mentioned how banged up Houston is,
that
but they did have their best game of the year, shutting up the Titans.
Destroyed.
On the other
It's
hand,
quite insane.
Ravens just got lit up,
So
and
I got no hope.
I do believe the Ravens should be able to win, but do not be surprised
0 points.
if this ends up going
They got
the
smoked.
other way. I do think that win for Miami last week was really good and ultimately can help them turn their season around, and they'll get
But it didn't.
win. However, that was the only thing going right for the Raiders, as Geno Smith is continuing to play hot potato with the football and has been throwing it to the wrong team too much, and that's a massive concern. And Philadelphia was good in the first half, but they did have a second half collapse. And I think we could see all
this
that
one was
happen
even worse.
again, but we need to see more yards from the Eagles.
And that didn't happen either.
The LA Chargers unfortunately fell into Jackson Dart's social media mind games, and they took their opponents.
Those may still be going on.
And looking at entry 3, had 2 options. If I had to be honest, it
I
came
don't
down
remember
to
the other option if I had to be serious.
Team in entry
I really
1 before, and I
don't,
have
but
the LA Rams
I should have picked them,
for this entry.
but the Rams should have still won.
I just believe they're much better than what the 49ers will offer.
Alright, that is going to do it. There is a very low opportunity this goes out before Thursday Night Football, but you will hear my thoughts after the fact, and we still have the rest of the 13 games, so it sucks, but I'm getting used to the things. It's going to take a hot minute, but hopefully we get back on track next week. So I just want to say thanks for the support, and if you're here at the end of the video, feel free to leave a subscribe button. It would help a lot, as we're in some tough times right now. So that'll be it for me. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see y'all soon. Take care, y'all.